Welcome to Smart Remarks. Where as bad as things seem in Japan, it could be worse. At least we don't have a president that uses the word nuclear. So it's been a chaotic week. I've been glued to the news out of Japan. First the earthquake, then the tsunami, and now the ongoing nuclear disaster, which as of this hour, as they say on broadcast television, appears to be worsening. But by the time you see this, maybe it'll all be over. We can certainly hope. But I've got to say, I've been astounded by the media's coverage of this event, particularly the print media's coverage of this. Their continual downplaying of the situation, telling us that sure, we've had multiple explosions, but it's not really that big of a deal. Nothing to see here. Remain calm, all is well. How reassuring.
Remain calm, all is well.
But events have also rekindled debate over nuclear power here in the United States as well. Until this disaster occurred, there were a lot of people, and maybe I was among them, who had begun to think of nuclear power as a viable alternative, a way to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and our reliance on fossil fuels. Nuclear power would allow us to be more self-sufficient in terms of energy, and that looked appealing until now. Now the expansion of nuclear power in the United States is a dead issue. Or is it? Remember the Deepwater Horizon disaster last year? Remember how it persisted for months, fouling the ocean to a degree that we don't even know now? And remember how this gave all Americans pause and caused us to slow our consumption of oil and gasoline? No, I don't remember that last part either. And now with the crisis in Japan, there'll be a huge outcry, no nukes, outrage! And that's great, But even as we proclaim this, we'll be consuming ever more energy. We'll be typing our screens on the internet, which of course requires power. Maybe we'll burn some fossil fuels to drive to the protest. I'm not trying to put a damper on the environmental spirit here, but what I'm saying is that unless demand for power decreases, what's happening in Japan will happen again, and it must. It's inevitable. I'd like to think that sober, thoughtful people would realize this and resolve in the wake of this crisis to use less energy where they can. Maybe they'd install compact fluorescent bulbs, maybe they'd buy new energy efficient appliances, but all this costs money. And let's not forget that the right in this country has an ideological case against conservation, because conservation equals weakness. The deck is stacked against conservation in this country because we need more power. We always need more power. And this means we're going to need nuclear power. In my own dream of dreams, we'd all generate our own power at home, on site, via solar panels or some such. We could all get off the grid, thereby reducing the need for the grid. But this is too utopian. This would cost too much to ever be feasible, and neither do we have the technology to meet our broader societal energy needs with renewable sources. Maybe one day we could, but that's going to take a heck of a lot of R&D, and that's going to cost a lot of money we really can't bring ourselves to spend in this era of Tea Party budget crunches. So the need for nuclear power is going to persist, and as it does, we implicitly accept the risks. Now we see exactly what that risk is, and I'd like to think that that could change behavior. But I tell you what, unless a radioactive cloud blows this way, I ain't gonna hold my breath.
This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. The world has never known a day quite like today. It faced the considerable uncertainties and dangers of the worst nuclear power plant accident of the atomic age. And the horror tonight is that it could get much worse. It is not an atomic